book is really about people, not just about AI and climate, but also about people. As we all know, AI, today, right from predicting floods to predicting wildfires to enabling a small villager in India to trade energy with some of the largest companies in India, and even the ability today to sort of, predict when the next sort of disease or outbreak will hit. AI has completely revolutionized, it's completely transformed the world as it is today. But at the same time, we also have climate change, which is a threat multiplier today because it affects everything, starting from disruption of supply chains on the one hand to even triggering conflicts conflicts on the other. And sometimes even affecting the very critical minerals or the rare earth elements that are required for AI to even function today. But even though, we don't say that AI is the silver bullet, AI is definitely a solution, but it comes with its own challenges. It comes with the challenge of increased energy consumption, water consumption, the challenges associated with the lack of data, and the challenges associated with sovereignty. But rather than seeing these as challenges, under the guidance of Mr. Kant, in this book, we see these as extremely powerful opportunities. We see these as powerful opportunities to come up with green data centers, which don't just sort of give the compute capacity that the world needs today, but also benefit the communities around them by treating wastewater, by leading to additionality of renewable energy, and by giving a district heating up homes in areas that are cold. It talks about how the lack of sovereignty of AI can actually lead to the birth of sovereign AI models, which India is already doing so well. And at the same time, it talks about how democratizing data sets can lead to innovation at the grassroots level. And these three powerful challenges, which in our book we frame as opportunities, do not only have the ability to transform AI when it comes to how AI can solve for climate, but they will basically provide a radically different, inclusive, scalable, and green blueprint for the AI scaling across the entire world. I would just like to, conclude by saying that as you pick up the book and as you read it, what differentiates this book is that it is not full of technical jargon. If you are an expert in AI or climate, it actually compels you to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. And if you're somebody who doesn't know anything about either of them, it actually allows you to do a deep dive and basically understand two forces that are shaping the future. And it is narrated through 4 different characters in the book. Asha, a girl who comes from the global south with a lot of dreams. Sophie, who comes from the global north. And a young man, Ori, who teams up with his mentor, who's the mayor of a town, to completely transform that town using the interplay of AI and climate. And to conclude, I just wanted to extend a deep sense of gratitude, not just to Honorable Minister and all the dignitaries who've decided to join us on this day, but also to Mr. Kant, from whom I have been able to learn so much. I could not have hoped for a better mentor in my life. So thank you so much, Mr. Kant. And I'm glad that my family and my friends have joined me today. The company I work for, their promoters are here today. A lot of people are here today. So thank you so very much. And I would just say that this is India's opportunity to convert vicious cycles into virtuous ones, to go from siloed approaches to collaboration, and to go from converting threat multipliers into force multipliers. Because, believe it or not, we are in the midst of a storm, and we need to be smarter than the storm. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Siddharth, for that overview. It is an incredibly powerful book. I've read it twice, so I can contest. We are delighted that HarperCollins will be publishing this work. It is now available for pre-order on Amazon, but for everyone in audience today, we have made copies available outside. So this is your opportunity to get it in advance. I would highly recommend a purchase. And we're also excited to announce that there will be an audiobook version, so do keep your ear out for that. I'd now like to invite the CEO of HarperCollins India, Mr. Anant Padmanabhan, to say a few words. Over to you, Anant.
Thank you so much. Both the speakers have already sold the book, so my job is a little easier this evening. But thank you, Honorable Minister, ambassadors, other dignitaries, respected speakers, fellow readers and friends. I sincerely hope you are all here because this is a momentous occasion, but also because you care deeply for climate change as the authors do. Leo, pleasure to welcome you all. We gather here not just to launch the book, but to open a conversation. Climate change is no longer a distant concept of future possibility. Just one look at the newspaper tell you, I mean, there's a blizzard in New York this morning. It was flooding in Chiang Mai yesterday, and it's colder than necessary in Delhi in late February. It is real, and it's going to impact a lot of us, and it's something that we have to think about because we are going to leave this planet behind for future generations to come. And the things that we think about and want to do now, we'll have to start thinking already. It is going to impact our environment, our communities, our economies. A simple Google search tells you that climate change can impact GDP by as high as 5%. It's not the world we inherited. It was a lot beautiful, but it's not the world that we definitely want to leave behind. It's also a world in which, well, we used to say AQI until December. Now everybody is only saying AI, but I do want to underline the fact that this is not just about AI. This is a book about climate change, and I cannot emphasize it enough. And the fact that highly advanced technology like AI is going to make whatever change we want to bring forward much easier is the kind of stuff that this book talks about. It also makes it particularly meaningful because both the authors have deeply thought about climate change and not just about what we have lost, but what we can take the book into as the future. And AI is the single largest intervention in the last 50 years. If you just take a look at the numbers, billions and billions of dollars are being put into a technology which one could argue is unproven, but the book also asks uncomfortable questions about what's the purpose of AI, how much is it going to survive or not, are the people who are investing in it going to retrieve what they get out of AI, and more importantly, is humanity going to get the benefit? It's not just going to change your work life, but for sustainability on the benefit of humanity, are we going to use AI the right way? And this is the first book in that sense to approach the subject. So do get a copy, whether you're a student, policymaker, government servant, or somebody just interested in waking up one morning, looking up at the sky and actually feeling good that the air is clean and there's predictable, sustainable world that we want to live in. On a personal note, I have had the pleasure of working with Mr. Kant for more than 20 years. I first went to him as a publisher saying we are launching a beautiful book on Delhi, Agra and Jaipur. He loved it so much. He was the Joint Secretary Tourism at that time. As an IAS officer, I should also say this, he never made me wait. And I think that is a character trait that for a man of progress, that's a character trait. He said, we'll launch this book for you. And we launched that book at the, behind the Delhi fort, there used to be a chor bazaar. They cleaned it up, put up a garden, and we launched a book that celebrated Delhi like nobody else. That's just a small example of a man from whom I've learned over the last 20 years is someone who loves humanity, who loves innovation, who respects what power of technology can do for innovation, who loves collaborating, even as a government person to work with, not within the government, but with around the world, who loves the idea of progress, and I think most importantly, loves India as a country. So huge round of applause for somebody who has been at the forefront of change, not just as a mere spectator, but somebody who can actually do something for us. Thank you again very much for being here. Do buy the book, not just for yourselves, buy it to people who you think must read something like this. It's a narrative, it's not data and charts, it's told the story of what climate change can do via characters, and which is the greatest thing about how they've structured this book. And it's a great pleasure for us to at HarperCollins to publish such an important book at an important time. Thank you all again, and I really thank the panel for being here today. Thank you, Mr. Kant.
No. Nandita was going to introduce me. No introduction is required. I'm not going to talk about the book because I prefer that you buy the book and read it. But I want to take this opportunity to welcome our guests tonight. They're really, really special people. And our chief guest tonight needs no ordinary introduction because his career has been anything but ordinary. He's a Supreme Court advocate turned political strategist. Mr. Bhupender Yadav is the man the BJP calls when they need to win the state elections. He has been the party's election in charge for Maharashtra, for Madhya Pradesh, for Manipur, for Bihar, and many more, all the states where they have earned a reputation for winning. They won the election, and he's gained the reputation as the party's quiet war room general. But beyond the political arena, he's at heart a thinker and a great writer, the author of The Rise of BJP, and he's done a lot of work on forest conservation with deep interest in poetry, philosophy, and meditation. Once I was spending time with him and I discovered that he knows where the best regional foods of India are available in different parts of India. So he's also a great foodie. And as Environment Minister, he's been India's foremost voice on climate action on the world stage at COP26 in Glasgow, where he successfully fought to change the language from phase out to phase down. He's a remarkable person in many, many ways, and he's got great capacity for intellectual work, for work on environment, for work on technology, and more than anything else, he's a person who believes in the convergence of development and environment in a very, very positive manner. So ladies and gentlemen, may I all request you to kindly welcome Mr. Bhupender Yadav. Ambassador Ackerman is not your typical diplomat. He holds a doctorate in art history. He co-founded an international legal aid NGO in New York, headed a provincial reconstruction team in Afghanistan, and has worked as a speechwriter to 2 German foreign ministers. And if you still doubt his commitment, he's worked in India twice over, and if you still doubt his commitment to India, just Google German Ambassador Natu, his Chandni Chowk flash mob to the Oscar-winning song. It went so viral, that even Prime Minister Modi tweeted in his praise and his skills of dancing. So that's Ambassador Philip Ackerman for you. Her Excellency Marissa Gerards, Ambassador of the Netherlands to India, she brings a rare combination of defense and diplomatic experience to New Delhi. Before arriving here, she served as the Netherlands' permanent representative to NATO in Brussels, and before that, as Director General of Policy at the Dutch Ministry of Defense. She's been a great champion of the India-Netherlands partnership on water management, agriculture, and innovation. But more than anything else, she's a great brand ambassador of the Dutch tulips. I was at her house on Sunday, and the house had the most beautiful, colorful tulips you can ever come across. They were better than you can see them in Netherlands, I can tell you. So she's just brilliant at it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Abhishek Singh is the man behind some of India's most consequential digital platforms. CoWIN, which vaccinated 1 billion people, DigiLocker, MyGov, Diksha, and he's now heading India's great AI mission as CEO. As IIT Kanpur alumnus and as Harvard Kennedy School Mason Fellow, he's distinguished himself in many, many ways. And he's played a key role in the rise of artificial intelligence in India. Sumant Sinha founded Renew in 2011 when clean energy in India was barely a blip on the radar. Today, it is one of the largest renewable energy companies in the world, listed on NASDAQ, with a pipeline of 28 gigawatt across solar, wind, and storage. He's also a great thinker. He's a writer, and the Time named him as one of the 100 most influential climate leaders in 2024. Forbes recognized him as a global sustainability leader in 2025, and he's more than anything else, he's committed to the cause of sustainability and climate in many, many ways. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome Mr. Paul Prosy, the acting country director of the World Bank in India, who's an environmental engineer by training and a globetrotter by profession. In his 25 years of the World Bank, he has managed development portfolios across China, Brazil, Argentina, many, many places. But he is now signing off on some of the most ambitious programs in India, from a 600 million clean air initiative across UP and Haryana to climate resilient infrastructure in Himachal Pradesh and Assam. Billions of dollars flowing in to India's development story thanks to Paul Prosy. Ladies and gentlemen, I would take this opportunity to welcome Sameer Saran, who's a transformed ORF from a respected, serious Indian think tank into what is now recognized as one of the most influential policy platforms in all of Asia. He is the architect of the Raisina Dialogue, India's flagship geopolitical conference. He's also the founder of many, many things, but more than anything else, he's vibrant, energetic, and lively, and who speaks the language of both policy and business. I will take this opportunity of also welcoming the Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog, Dr. Suman Berry, with whom I've had the great pleasure of working earlier. I will take this opportunity to welcome Justice Manmohan Singh and Justice Sikri, who are here. And finally, I'll take this opportunity of welcoming the parents of Siddharth and who've joined here. And you should really feel proud of your son for this incredible job that he has done. And I'll welcome all my distinguished friends, colleagues, partners. Many of you have joined, and I'm really sorry for not being able to make seats for everyone here, but thanks for this very young, dynamic, vibrant audience here. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, sir, for those words. I'd now like to invite the Honorable Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Shri Bhupinder Yadav, to please launch the book, as well as all the dignitaries present and the special guests present to also launch the book. I would also like to invite Mr. Anand Padmanabhan, the CEO of HarperCollins, and the book editor, Sachin Sharma, to please also join us on stage.
Dr. Berry, please.
There should be more. There.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. The book is now launched, if that wasn't clear. I would now like to invite the Honorable Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Shri Bhupinder Yadav ji, to deliver the keynote address.
Shri Amitabh Kant ji, His Excellency Philip Ackerman, Ambassador of Federal Republic of Germany to India, His Excellency Miss Marisa Gadres, Ambassador of Netherlands to India, Shri Abhishek Singh Ji, CEO India AI Mission, Mr. Suman Sinha, CEO Renew Power, Mr. Samir Saran, President Observer Research Foundation, and my dear friends seated in the audience, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by congratulating Shri Amitabh Kant ji and Shri Siddharth Sinha for their book, Smarter Than the Storm, Championing the AI Climate Nexus for a Truly Sustainable Future. Writing book is an experience and it's an exercise that goes beyond mere act of putting words on paper. It is a profound engagement with thought, a quest for understanding, and a method of structuring human experience. Mr. Kant and Mr. Sinha have in their book engaged with the AI experience for a sustainable future. Sustainable future is perhaps the most fashionable phrase today. The issue with fashionable phrases is that they are often used without meaning much. As the Environment Minister, I often ask gatherings I address, whose future are we referring to? The answer more often than not is human future. Ladies and gentlemen, just like there can be no artificial intelligence without real human intelligence, there can be no human future without the future of the planet on which human life exists. We have so far been busy finding answer to the impact of anthropocentric activities on the environment. But can we move ahead without understanding the impact of artificial intelligence on environment? The clear answer is no. Artificial intelligence is energy intensive, and so AI is not just going to compete with human for jobs, but also the resources of air and water. In that sense, the world of artificial intelligence is indeed a storm moving in our direction. The only way we cannot just survive, but also thrive amid this storm is by making human experience the center of it. The human race must commit it to AI not for the sake of AI, but AI for the sake of humans and the planet we inhabit. I am glad that under the leadership of Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, India is moving in the right direction on dealing with the inherent contradictions of AI. On the recently concluded India AI Impact Summit 2026, Prime Minister Modi presented India's AI vision, Manav, which means human work. M stands for moral and ethical systems. A stands for accountable governance. N stands for national sovereignty. A stands for accessible and inclusive. V stands for valid and legitimate. The New Delhi Frontier AI Impact Commitments offer a step further in turning this vision into reality. With India leading the way, the world has committed to advancing understanding of real-world AI usage to support evidence-based policy making on jobs, skills, and economic transformation. In India, we think of economy and ecology as closely linked. Ladies and gentlemen, India has consistently demonstrated that climate responsibility and development ambition can go hand in hand. Our approach has been guided by equity, scale, and action not rhetoric. India has shown that emerging economies do not have to follow the carbon intensive pathways of the past to achieve prosperity. India has taken bold and credible steps across the climate spectrum. On clean mobility, the National Electric Mobility Mission and rapid expansion of electric vehicles have positioned India as one of the fastest growing EV markets in the world. This transition is reducing emissions while creating domestic manufacturing capacity and new jobs. Through the National Green Hydrogen Mission, India is laying the foundation for deep industrial decarbonization. By focusing on cost reduction, scale and domestic value chains, India is positioning itself as a global hub for green hydrogen production and export. India has also made significant investments in renewable energy, battery storage, and grid modernization, recognizing that energy transition is not only about generation but also about storage, transmission, and system resilience. At the global level, India has exercised leadership through initiatives such as International Solar Alliance, the Global Biofuels Alliance, and the G20 Green Development Pact. During India's G20 presidency, climate action, green development, and inclusive growth were placed firmly at the center of the global agenda. The New Delhi Leaders' Declaration reflected consensus at a time of global fragmentation. Friends, these initiatives underscore an important point. India does not see climate action as a constraint. We see it is an opportunity to build new industries, strengthen energy security, and promote sustainable development. While climate change represents a threat multiplier, we are also living through an era of unprecedented technological change. Artificial intelligence has emerged as a powerful general purpose technology with the potential to reshape economies, governance, and development outcomes. India has been clear that technology must be harnessed responsibly and inclusively. AI is not an end in itself. It is a tool, and its value lies in how it is applied to solve real world problems. In this context, I am particularly pleased to see the smarter than the storm recognizes AI as a force multiplier in climate action. The book does not treat AI as a silver bullet, but as an accelerator that can enhance decision making, improve system efficiency, and help societies anticipate and respond to climate risk. Between techno optimism and technophobia, the path to trade is the techno realism. As India stated clearly that India AI Summit, we are building an AI future of the humans, by the humans, and for the humans. Members of this August gathering, one of the strongest contributions of this book is its focus on India's role in shaping global solutions. India has a scale, diversity, and complexity. If solutions work in India, they can work everywhere. Our size and heterogeneity make us a natural laboratory for climate and AI innovation. India has a unique combination of business dynamism, frugal innovation, and a strong digital public infrastructure. Our experience with digital public infrastructure shows how open system can deliver services at scale while remaining inclusive and cost effective. I must admit that the title of their book struck an instant chord with me. Smarter than the storm. It is not intelligent to fight a storm. Wisdom lies in understanding its strength and responding with patience and strategy. Wisdom lies in harnessing its potential for human development. The book makes a compelling case that climate risks rarely occur in isolation. Droughts, floods, heat waves, and extreme events interact with food security, migration, conflict, and supply chains. These cascading effects require system thinking, not individual responses. I also appreciate that the book confronts AI's own challenges honestly. The energy intensity of data centers, the concentration of data, and the risk of technological dependence are real issues. Rather than ignoring these, the book reaffirms them as opportunities through green data centers, open and sovereign AI models, and digital public infrastructure for climate and energy. Importantly, the book keeps people at the center by grounding complex ideas in lived realities and human stories. It reminds us that climate policy is ultimately about livelihoods, communities, and resilience. We are living amid very interesting time. I think Mr. Amitabh Kant and Mr. Siddharth Sinha's book is going to be very helpful in living through these times. As an environment minister, I have had a great learning from it, and I wish to include many of these learning in our policy transformation. I am thankful to the writers for this timely, relevant, and illuminating book. Thank you for inviting me and for being patient hearing. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Yadav was to go to Calcutta in the morning. He changed his program to be here with us. Sir, thank you very much on our behalf. Thank you so much. I would request
you, sir.
Samir to come here and
Thank you
take
so much.
the start.
Thank you. Thank you. We are going to move into a quick conversation while Mr. Kant and the authors escort the minister out. I thought what I can do is, so that I have a view of the room, I can change the position I'm sitting on. And I can start with the German ambassador. Maybe while Mr. Kant is outside, we could ask you a few questions, because this book, and certainly the address by the minister this evening, points to these spirals and vicious cycles that we get caught up in. Energy, national security, minerals, components, manufacturing, and it all becomes quite constricting. And there is no continent more aware of this vicious spiral of national security, climate, energy, and the nexus that it has created than Europe, right? So my question to you is, and today is the 4th anniversary of what happened in 2022. Is Europe managing this vicious cycle of energy and national security, or are you breaking free?
So thank you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Is it on? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you very much for asking this very pertinent question. You mentioned it 4 years ago. The Russia invasion the war of aggression, Russia's war of aggression in Ukraine, changed the perception of this profoundly in Europe. And when you ask me, are we managing or are we breaking free? I think both is true. We managed in 22 and changed from one day to the other our energy supply. You know, we had 56% of our gas came from Russia, and we had in 2 weeks' time 0% of the gas. So we had to find new sources and new suppliers, and we managed that very quickly. But at the same time, we thought of how to break free from this dependency of fossil fuels from elsewhere. And I think what we can say now with some pride is that we have invested so much in renewables that Germany is growingly, and I think our European partners as well, is growingly independent from fossil fuels. So what we see is that now almost 60% of electricity comes from own-produced, self-produced renewables, and this amount of this percentage is going up rapidly. That's why we love companies like Renew. It's a fantastic company. We are very impressed with it, and I think that's the way forward, with private sector investing in that new energy, and I think in a couple of years' time we will see.
So this
much
book
more.
sees AI as a force multiplier in a highly industrialized economy such as Germany. Where do you think the deployment of AI can create maximum decarbonization?
I think that in many, many ways, AI can be hugely useful in order to get your carbon balance better. Yeah? And I think in the book you find a couple of those elements, and when you read it carefully, you'll find a lot of very interesting thoughts. The federal government, my government, is supporting a project. It's called AI Lighthouses for Environment, Nature, and Natural Resources, and we have funded 60 specific projects in AI that go specifically into this matter. And I think that's the way forward. And I think the book is very clear on that, saying that, AI can be very helpful. You have to see the downside of it, as you said, Siddharth, in your introduction. But at the same time, it can be, in very specific questions, it can be of immense help. Be that weather forecast, be that agriculture, be that renewables. There is a lot of things where AI can be very useful.
Ambassador, there is a general assessment that solutions and data sets are locked behind paywalls. What the world needs is not available. Climate action is a victim of GDPR. Is it true?
So you have to ask also other people, not only
I know.
me,
I will ask.
basically.
I will ask Ambassador from Netherlands as well.
It's a hugely differentiated question, and I can't say yes or no. But I think
No, I mean to say, is
would be
data
wrong.
cooperation going to be?
I think we have to have a very, very differentiated approach to the question, because partly it is true, partly one should also look very clearly.
Fair enough. It was. I was being a little cheeky, but I'll turn to you. Maybe you can take that question forward. That how do we build collaborations between the North and the South, between India and Netherlands? How do we use your own expertise in managing your coasts and water, along with the use of technology in predicting the uncertainties we have to navigate?
Is this one working?
Yeah.
Do I need one with okay. Is it working? No.
Yeah, it's working.
Is it? Yeah? You can hear me? Okay. Well, let me first thank you. Thank you for the book. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. You said something about me working in defense for 10 years, but before that, 15 years ago, I was actually the director of the international department at the Ministry of Environment, and I was leading the Dutch team to the negotiations on climate. What I think is very interesting, that in those days, 15 years ago, there were so many people who were in denial, so many people who said it's not true and the climate's always changing. Now everybody knows it's true. But us in the Netherlands, being below sea level, half of our country, for us it's a matter of survival. It's not nice to have, but it's actually something that we should really get right, otherwise we drown. So your question, what can we do? I can see nowadays, water management is very high on our agenda. And what AI cannot do is, we need always dikes and dunes, and we need expertise, and there will always be surprises in our scenarios. But I think AI can do a lot in modeling, in predicting, in forecasting. And we are already using it now to forecast heavy rains or floods that are coming and take the right decisions. And I can see that we are actually working together as we speak. Our research institutes are working together on modeling, on testing, on trying. We have our university in the eastern part of the country in Twente, for the ones who know the Netherlands, who are working together with the authorities in Kerala on these kind of flood resilient modeling and trying to get early warning systems. So I think there's a lot that we can do together.
Ambassador, there's also the challenge of financing, and Netherlands has experience on catalytic finance. How do we? This is seen as a social challenge. Adaptation is not necessarily as attractive as some of the mitigation projects are. How do you build finance to actually create resilient communities in society?
Yes, well, we have a lot of experience with it through banks like the FMO or Invest International, the Dutch Good Growth Fund. I have a fellow countryman there working for the World Bank. I'm sure that he knows much more about it than I do, but I can see that they do really good work, because what they do is actually, these are commercial loans, but they take higher risks. So I just had FMO in, and they were telling me again of projects where they are lending $50 million into renewable energy here in India as we speak. So a lot can be done there. there, I think. They take the first leap, they take the first risk. And once that things are pretty stable, then I think the private banks will come on board as well. So I think in this kind of blended financing or public-private financing, I think we can do a lot, also investing in AI.
Excellent. Sumant, I want to turn to you. And you know, you are someone who's actually built a forward-looking company a decade ago when people were questioning whether a model like this can work in India. Now, I think maybe I can ask you the business case for AI in the energy and climate sector, but more importantly, the centrality of AI in your own business planning for the future.
Yeah, thank you. Is this working?
Yeah, it's working.
Okay. First of all, congratulations to Mr. Kant and to Siddharth for having written this awesome book. I think climate change and AI are two of the central issues of our time. So you guys identified and sort of lock into it sometime now. We can use this one. Okay. So anyway, congratulations to you guys for having written this book. It's great timing, and it's a very, very important topic at this point. As far as AI and our business is concerned, Samir, look, there are some very fundamental ways in which AI can be helpful to us. One is obviously, we generate a lot of data from our millions of solar panels and thousands of wind turbines. All of that can be analyzed, processed at a much better rate. And we can actually improve the performance of our assets through using AI and so on. The second thing is weather forecasting, very critical, obviously, because how much power we feed into the grid is a very important aspect for the grid to be managed properly. We get penalized if we don't do the forecasting properly. And so therefore, allowing us to get that insight is very important. And again, that's where AI can help. And thirdly, managing the grid. The grid is getting more and more complicated as you go forward, right? Because you have now millions of solar pumps operating in India. You have millions of rooftops. I think we just crossed 30 lakh homes which have rooftop solar installations. So all of those are consuming and feeding into the grid as well. And then, of course, you have a huge amount of renewable energy coming in, and a lot of new demand sources and centers also coming in. So managing this grid of the future is going to be extraordinarily complicated. I don't know that anybody has cracked it beyond 30-40% of renewable energy penetration right now. And so I think we need to do a lot of work to get that done. So I think that's another area where AI is going to be very critical. The other way in which AI is very obviously helpful for us is as a customer. Because obviously AI is a massive data guzzler, a power guzzler for all the data that it actually needs to process. And so for us, we are going to be hopefully able to supply gigawatts of power into data centers. And how these data centers are actually going to be powered in the future is going to be a very important determinant of climate change issues, right? Because if it all goes into the thermal sector, then that's going to be really extraordinarily bad for the climate.
But Sumant, is it inevitable that companies such as yours, which are in clean energy, could become actually also the investors in green data centers of the future? So in some sense, a hybrid business is bound to emerge at some point.
So it will certainly happen. At the very least, we'll become suppliers of power to data centers. And on a forward integration basis, we could actually set up data centers ourselves. And there are some companies, for example, Siddharth's employer, that is in fact thinking about this. And there are many other companies that are looking to do that as well. So I think you'll certainly see a diffusion between power supplies using clean energy and also companies that are setting up data centers as well.
I want to turn to Paul. And Paul, when I reached here this evening, you were more worried about the job loss, and you said people like us are going to lose jobs.
Not like me.
So now let's keep that to the side and let's look at the matter at hand. And my question to you would be that, AI is in some sense like a general purpose technology in some ways, and it's a very specific instrument in other ways. What are the pots of money today that are being deployed, and how are you actually supporting the digitalization agendas in many of these sectors and countries around the world?
First of all, thank you so much for having us. And actually, the World Bank is probably the worst to talk about AI. We're not the great innovators. But just to go to your question, the World Bank is actually working in different levels, mostly on the, let's say, on first of all, the connectivity side. I think there's still a humongous area that we need to do on the connectivity. Then on the data, there's an issue of data quality that we still have. So, it's very nice to have all of your AI systems working, but if you don't have the quality data at a good level, you will not be able to use it. Then you have an issue of the computing, and that comes back to the data centers. And then finally, the skilling. I think the main area that we are focusing on in our work is basically on the last mile access, especially in rural areas of especially India and other parts, and the skilling to make sure that the world is ready for the kind of, let's say, skills that are needed. Because what you will see, I think, as we talked a little bit, the blue-collar jobs are probably the ones that are not threatened by the AI. But I think the entry-level white-collar jobs will have to really show that they have to offer something. And I was joking that I'm happy that I am already on the tail end of my career, because it would be very hard for us to get into these careers with a lot of these entry jobs. But just to come back to us as the World Bank, we have indeed moved from, let's say, digital services to really, although we have a digital vertical, which is quite amazing, and everybody was questioning, why does the World Bank has an infrastructure, let's say, an economic department, a people's department. Now there is one department that is digital, because I think our president really saw that this whole digitalization of service is not going to work. We need to integrate the digital in every system, and even in the AI summit that we saw last week, we were in 27 panels. And number two, I was humbled, because again, when you create the platforms and you talk to some of these entrepreneurs, the things that they come up with and the ideas that they have are so much beyond what we can imagine here, that the only thing what we need to do as the World Bank are two things, I would say, is to create the platforms where these ideas can flow, and we can have the governance structures to make sure that, let's say, the digital systems are protecting the privacy of people. And number two is to basically make sure that the last mile, let's say, the most vulnerable people get access to that digital service as well.
On that particular aspect, quick question for you. How do you balance these two competing needs, access to AI versus the energy intensity of AI? So in many of these global south countries where you may not necessarily have clean energy production at scale, you still need to give digital access. So how do you balance those two imperatives?
It's a combination of everything. So first of all, I would like to have a partnership with Renew, because we don't have the money. Although, Mr. Kant talked about the billions, we are becoming smaller and smaller in the real world. So we need to be humble where we get in, but we need to kind of create that, let's say, those partnerships. Secondly, there's humongous efficiency gains when you use AI the right way. On the grid side, we have a big project in Maharashtra where we're simply using, let's say, smart technology related to sensors and satellite technology and real-time computing. You have an efficiency gain, and efficiency gain very often means economic gains for producers. So there are humongous impacts that we can see when you start using AI by, let's say, producers, by farmers, that will immediately, without much effort, have a 30% increase in income for them, with simple tools. And that will create the resources that we probably will need for investing in renewables and smarter data centers.
So this was one of the seven chakras, right, of the India AI Impact Summit. So you're you're in India's AI man. So let me turn to you. And one of the pillars was a AI system that was both helping us respond to climate challenges, but was also less intense in terms of its dependence on climate resources. How is India preparing to respond to the larger question of sovereign AI, green data centers, and of course frontier models that actually incorporate India's learnings through millennia? The problem with some of these international models are that they don't necessarily learn from our past. We have solutions in our history. How are we bringing those to the forefront?
Thank you. And first and foremost, congratulations to Sir and Siddharth for the launch of the book. And I'm sure it will have many, many insights which will answer some of the questions that Sameer is posing. But to answer your question, of course, planet was one of the key pillars that we did. Impact Summit, impact on people, planet progress. Under planet resilience, energy efficiency was one of the key themes, the chakras which were deliberated on. So when we look at that AI and energy, in the short term, the energy required to train AI models to develop AI applications will be very, very high. But if you look at the long term, when AI diffusion happens and adoption of AI happens in various sectors, We heard about how grid efficiency comes in. We had a project in Jaipur Discom, wherein transmission distribution losses have come down by 15% by use of AI. Then if you look at supply chain logistics or transportation networks where AI is used, the amount of energy that's consumed, even Google Maps ensures that you are more efficient in moving. But if you operate at a scale, the efficiencies are manifold. If you look at digital twins for factories and manufacturing centers, there also energy efficiency comes in. There's a startup which has developed a solution for a farmer wherein he is using AI to optimize the water that is used for irrigation. So the energy cost for operating the submersible pump, the water that is used is reduces. In the long term, the efficiency that will come with use of AI in various sectors will far outweigh the increased consumption that's required for building AI applications. So that's one part with regard to AI and this. When we are looking at India, especially for building our sovereign AI stack, we are looking at all these layers. Like it begins with the energy layer, then the data center layer, the compute layer, then the models and the applications. So all this entire stack. So we are building capabilities at all levels, and we feel that given our strength in renewable energy, given our strength in building data centers at a fraction of the cost that it costs anywhere else in the world, we have a very important role to play when the world looks at powering AI compute. So inferencing at scale will happen with the data centers and the compute and the energy that is available in India. And once you have that leverage, then maybe you are dependent on foundation models to some extent to some other countries, or on chips to some other countries. But every country will have its own strength and leverage when the question of sovereign AI stack comes in. So that ability to build inferencing here, the build data centers here, to have green energy resources here will give us a handle on the overall sovereign debate that we are coming in. That having said that, we are also of course ensuring that Sarvam and all scale up and ensure that we are able to build our entire sovereign AI stack within India.
You know, Abhishek said something really interesting, and I'm going to use this very often. He said that the AI Impact Summit resulted in a joint statement that had both the BRICS and the Quad in it. So, well done. You had US and China sign on to the Impact Summit. But my question to you, my related question is, how do we ensure gains of AI are available to the much wider global south? And what is the north-south cooperation element here that we probably have catalyzed through the summit that we just hosted?
See, one of the key, well, of course, the summit had many announcements, including the 91 countries agreeing for the declaration. But more importantly, some of the lesser heard declarations or the announcement at the summit was the setting up of AI Commons. The AI Impact Commons.global is already live. It lists around 80 solutions from 30 countries to begin with. And these are solutions which are being shared across the globe, and many countries of the global south are looking at it. We also published 6 compendiums which are AI use cases in various sectors. We had a compendium on healthcare that we brought in partnership with WHO, one we did on energy in partnership with the International Energy Agency, then we did one on education, we did one on accessibility, we did one on gender in partnership with the UN Women. So these 6, one on agriculture with FAO and all. So the 6 compendiums list down hundreds of use cases which countries can adopt. It gives the details of how the solution was developed, where it was developed, who are the key stakeholders. Many of these solutions have been made open source. So that becomes one key thing that will ensure diffusion of AI happens across the globe.
So is climate going to become one single most important use case that comes out of India? I think that's the question that the book poses, that can we create an India algorithm that helps us across the climate chain from energy to
we already
efficiency?
have several such use cases. In fact, if you look at the compendium on energy, it lists out several stories, including the one that I mentioned about Discom in Jaipur, including one on reduction consumption of water for farmers, including one for factories and digital twins. There are multiple examples. Of course, other countries also have solutions, but the idea behind this, compiling this compendium, building this AI Impact Commons.global is to ensure that these solutions become shareable, become shareable and become replicable. The countries can adapt them for their own requirements and kind of scale them up.
Mr. Kant, as we hit the 30-minute mark, you had told me to speak to everyone else before I turn to you, but I must turn to you now. So my question to you is, first of all, I have always thought you were the force of nature and you were the force multiplier. And you plus AI could be like, the solution we seek. Now, my question to you is that you have been championing digitalization and technology as India's future. You have always said that we are green, we are tech, and we are people. That was the G20 ethic also. What has driven you to put this book together now?
So Samir, let's make no mistake, we are living in the era which is witnessing major disruptions. We are seeing the end of globalization. The post-World War II era has come to an end. The era which gave you United Nations Security Council, multilateralism is on the decline. Global value chains have come to an end. They've broken now. But we are living in an era which is going to see the biggest rise of productivity ever because of data, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. And this technology is going to be a general purpose technology which will transform every single sector of the economy. It's not like automobile, the Volvo MD is sitting here, he integrates IoT, but it's automobile is separate. It's like electricity, which will get into every single sector. And therefore, my view is that this is really transformational, but it will not be fit for purpose. And the race for AI has just begun. Clive Osborne did the first laptop. He went bust. Apple won the race. Alta Vista did the first internet. They went bust. But Google won the race. So the race for AI has just begun. And the race will be won by those who use AI to transform learning outcomes, health outcomes, nutritional standards, but also those, because AI today consumes more energy than the country of Japan. AI race will be won by those who do optimization of computing power with more sophisticated software, but less computing power. Excessive use of computing power is being used. Look at what OpenAI has done in its deal with NVIDIA. 11 gigawatt of energy. That's 5 million GPUs from NVIDIA. One company. I mean, that's like burning computing power. That's an energy guzzler. And therefore, the battle of tomorrow will be won by those who use good, sophisticated software with less energy, but it will also be won by those who use energy, who use computing power, and who use artificial intelligence to really make tomorrow's a better world for climate. And that is really the race for tomorrow. The race has just begun.
So, sir, you mentioned an interesting point. Multilateralism as we know it is over. But new multilateralism is emerging. For example, we have two colleagues here from the EU, and we've just signed an FTA with them. Yeah. We also have Pax Silica announced during Abhishek Summit, Pax Silica with the US. A new architecture of partnerships is emerging. How do you see India positioned to actually ride some of these opportunities? And by the way, it started with your G20. Huh? I mean, you were able to get a statement out when the United Nations Security Council could not. Yeah. So in some sense, it started with you.
Yeah, but that meant a lot of sweating out. I mean, that meant 17 days of hard negotiations on one para, 365 hours almost on one para. Every single word matters there. But to my mind, this is a once in a generation opportunity for India. When disruption takes place, you need to get between the cracks in the wall. And this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for India to really take advantage of the disruption that is taking place. It's an opportunity for India to technologically leapfrog. It's an opportunity for India to become a major driver of artificial intelligence, do it in a sustainable manner. It's a huge opportunity for India to bring down the cost of green hydrogen. We've opened up small modular reactors. Today, green hydrogen, we import 180 billion worth of fossil fuel. By 2030, we should be an exporter of clean energy. Green hydrogen is $4.50 per kilogram today. Our ambition is to bring it down to $1 per kilogram, and therefore become the cheapest exporter, the cheapest producer, and the biggest manufacturer of electrolyzer, and export to countries like Germany and Netherlands clean energy. That should be the partnership of tomorrow.
She's nodding her head. You want to come in on the potential of energy as a core component of our FTA?
Yes, it's very important, and I think we're doing a lot of work in this area. And if you talk about green hydrogen, I could see in the 2.5 years when I'm posted here now in your country, how much stronger the relationship between the Netherlands and India is if we look at the potential for green hydrogen to be exported to Europe. The Port of Rotterdam, they have their own representative now in India. They are preparing the ports to actually receive green hydrogen as well. We signed an MOU as well on a green shipping corridor, because if it's very polluted, the way you are transporting the green hydrogen, of course, it doesn't make sense. So also to make, routes more efficient and see how you can actually transport it in a green way as well. But I can see that especially in energy, a lot is happening, and I'm sure it's the same for Germany, because I could see that also their green hydrogen roadmap. I think it's 10 pages.
I think
and
Global
ours is
Gateway
3.
generally has a emphasis on green hydrogen and investments in key geographies. So maybe AI plus green hydrogen and maybe.
No, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Green hydrogen is for us a very interesting, energy provider, and I think India is a fabulous country to import it from. And the only difference between me and Marisa is that I hope that the port of Hamburg is a bit, getting and not only Rotterdam, not only, also Rotterdam, of course. No, but generally speaking, I think what we see in India, and when we, see what happens in Gujarat with green energy production, what happens with Renew, it's all a very, very interesting, development which we will certainly benefit from, and green hydrogen will be one of the main energy providers in the future.
Sumant, you and I have spoken about this earlier in terms of the partnerships for the future and the new multilateral architecture. And you heard Mr. Kant refer to that as well. How is India's energy security matrix today going to be defined by what we do in this particular domain, especially the energy AI nexus?
Look, I think we have to recognize that India is already a very large energy market, right? As Mr. Kant said, we import $180 billion worth of fossil fuels every year, but we have the third largest power system in the world now, right? And that is growing at 6% a year, which is more than any other country is growing at. Just to meet those needs, we need to add about 70 gigawatts of new renewable energy capacity every single year. Right now, to give you guys a sense of scale, today we have across all generating sources only about 500 gigawatts of total power generating capacity. We need to add 70 out of renewables every year just to meet our demand growth. Now, if you add data centers to that mix, which we have not done yet because data centers are just starting, and the AI summit was really, I think, giving the big sort of push to data center growth in India, that could be an additional maybe 10 to 15 gigawatts every year on top of that, right? So it's not something that we can't do. We can meet all of that requirement, but we really need to push very hard. I think almost as hard as Mr. Kant pushed for that G20 declaration. As a country, we need to push that hard on clean energy for the next 10, 15 years before we can actually really become power surplus to the level where we can start exporting power, if you ask me honestly, right? Green hydrogen, for example, is one way in which we can export our clean energy. But the demand from the European Union still has to materialize, notwithstanding all the work that's happening in the ports. So that is something we are frankly.
But what about India being an exporter of capabilities and know-how and actually working in other geographies to build their capabilities in the global south?
I think that the opportunity space in India is so vast that we would love to do it, but frankly, we have a hands full of dealing with the opportunity here.
Siddharth, that's the truth. As we come to the end of this conversation, and just one question each in the end, but let me ask you, Siddharth, the most important question. How do you keep up with him? I mean, I have worked with him for a long time. I get tired. I mean, how did you survive, Mr. Kant? Tell me, how was it? No, I mean, on a more serious note, look, he's your mentor. You worked with him through a large point. My question is, what are the 3-4 most exciting, incidents that had took place during the writing of this book? Some ideas that you're going to keep with you.
No, can't say. I'm going to answer your first question first. I think, how do I put up? I think it's been an
No, how do you keep up with him? He's force multiplier, right?
No, he's a force multiplier. That's where the word for the book came from. Where else do you think we got the word from? But no, I think it's really interesting. I think during the writing of this book, I think one of the things that Mr. Kant, of course, said that we need to ensure that we bring a people story into this. This book has to be one that is actually for everyone, for every single person. It can't be about AI, it can't be about climate, it can't be about jargon. It has to be a book about absolutely every single sort of thing that's around us. And that's why if you look at the book, if you read it, it's absolutely like it's done in a way that is absolutely sort of about lived realities, characters, and so on. I think the other thing is, which is interesting about this book is, working with Mr. Kant, I think we've also been pushed to think in in a very different sort of manner to understand what is the challenge with offtake even at the most granular level. Everybody's talked about AI, everybody's talked about DPI. One thing which we miss when we talk about the AI debate in India is the cognitive burden on an average Indian. Everybody is so concerned about 500 different things that they have to do that their focus on what could be, let's say, energy efficient behavior, energy saving behavior, the choices that they make, it's not there. Yeah, deprioritized. But how do you really make it easy for them? Google had a fantastic tool which was called Satellite Sunroof. What it does is that you can use satellite imagery to actually see somebody's rooftop, solar generation. AI can do that. But the point is that you have to take it a step ahead. You have to say that if somebody is looking at a solar calculator on their phone, it's not just able to tell them that these are the amounts of savings that you have, but here is a single push. You click this button, everything else happens in the background. Somebody is going to do your KYC, somebody is going to give you capital, somebody is going to give you loans, somebody is going to do something else, and you get it right away. So I think that is there. But I think the biggest thing is that we look at everything from a 360-degree lens, because I think you also know, I think you would know this best, that when Mr. Kant was CEO, Niti Ayoga mornings, used to start with green hydrogen. By afternoon, you're doing battery storage. At 3 p.m. you're doing aspirational districts program. At 4 p.m. you're doing green steel. At 5 p.m. you're doing circular economy, and at 9 p.m. you're fielding.
If I ever worked at Niti Aayog, I would have kept a SMR at home, so, just to keep up. But Abhishek, my final question to you, and then I'm going to turn to you, Mr. Kant. In many ways, the point the book seeks to do is to democratize this debate, to take it to everyone, to make everyone a participant in the engineering that they're trying to instigate through this book. You were trying to do something very similar with the AI Impact Summit. You were taking AI to the streets, to the people. You had what, 400,000 odd folks who
400,000 registered, and total 600,000 people came across different days. And then more importantly, before the summit, we did almost 700 pre-summit events from across, out of which 100 were outside India, in even smaller countries like where, and you all, ORFN was part of it. So what we did was that the whole agenda was curated bottoms up, unlike the other previous 3 summits. So we got inputs from everyone, from all stakeholders, from AI companies, from frontier model companies, from startups, from industry, from researchers, from civil society, from governments. So that way we were able to curate an agenda which almost everybody owned. And when we did the sessions also, the 500 odd sessions that we did at the summit, most of the sessions were not done by us. They're done by our partners. And where partners were doing the session, they were owning it up. So whether it's getting the speakers to come on time, whether curating the agenda, all of it. So around 3,500 speakers at the summit, they became our ambassadors. So that way, when you do something in a participative manner, when you do something in an inclusive manner, when you ensure that everyone becomes part of it, that's how people are talking about it. So that was the magic, and I think that's applicable to our DPI story as well.
I think that's smarter than the storm. I think that's a good technique. But Mr. Kant, let me turn to you finally as we conclude this evening. I have 2 questions for you. One, of course, from the new innings that you have embarked on. Do you see technology and green transitions as sectors that can actually catalyze trillions of dollars of investments into India? Is there appetite in the world to invest in these? And is India a geography that is going to receive this? That's my first question to you.
So, that's a very, very important question. And, the only way you can do it is if you have the right policy framework. And what the story of renewable tells you is that it's not the government which brings in money. It's if you get the right policy framework, then the private sector gets into the act. Our India's renewable story, you've been able to do more than 50% non-fossil fuel electricity in India. This is a remarkable achievement. No other country has been able to do it. How did this happen? Because the policy blocks were put in place. You did transparent bidding process, your private sector companies coming in, they were then able to attract private equity funding in, and the repayment was assured. And therefore, your ability to see that free enterprise is able to work, you're able to build the building blocks of policy, and the private sector will then attract the right technology. Without that, it will not happen. Government can best be a policy maker, but it should be a progressive policy maker. The ability to do disruption, the ability to attract technology, the ability to attract finance is the job of the private sector. India can grow and succeed in the field of AI and can succeed in the field of climate only with free enterprise. Without free enterprise, it will not work. You have to eliminate rules, regulation, procedures, acts by volumes and dismantle them so that free enterprise can grow and prosper in India. That is the only way India can become a champion of artificial intelligence and converge climate action along with it.
Mr. Kant, I have known you for a very long time. I have asked you for hundreds of requests in those years that I've known you. And I've seen many people ask you for many things. I've never heard you say no. I mean it. I've never heard you say no. Does that word exist for you?
Well,
and by the way, it's a genuine question. You just don't say no. So I'm just, my question is that this positivity, that you have.
I honestly believe that this is going to be India's decade and India's century. I honestly believe that India's got young demographics, which no other country has. Our average age is 29. Europe is aging, America is aging, Japan's already aged. You have very light dependency burdens. If you can't do it now, you'll never be able to do it. And India has demonstrated that in digital public infrastructure, technologically leapfrog. The only way to do it is to leapfrog many, many eras through technological pole vaulting, and that is what India must do. So I believe in India, I believe in positivity, I believe in optimism, and I believe that this is truly India's decade for the making.
So I think that's a great note to close this conversation on. Please join me in congratulating all of them. Thank you so much, and let me turn it back to you.
Thank you for that incredibly compelling panel discussion and also very humorous. We were joking on the sidelines that if we need a new source for our energy mix, we should just look to Mr. Kant. He has a surplus of energy that he generates, and Mr. Savir. I'd now like to invite Mr. Sachin Sharma for a very small vote of thanks from HarperCollins.
Well, thank you very much. This evening gives me lots of hope, not only because of this stellar panel, but also because of this receptive audience. You've been fantastic. I think you deserve a round of applause. And, not just for a book event, you've come here for a cause, which is climate change. And of course, there is AI. But thinking of AI, I'm reminded of a question that I just asked ChatGPT. How many books are sold by word of mouth? It says roughly 50% of books are sold by word of mouth. So when you read a good book, buy it, talk about it, help us sell more. Thank you.